Hey, what's going on, guys? Coming at you with a brand new deck profile, and today I'll be showing you the manliest Yu-Gi-Oh! Heck, even the manliest just trading card game deck in existence. And that, of course, is my Fairy Princess Toss. Now, don't laugh. I actually have good reason for this name. First off, you do use Prediction Princess Terra Tray in this deck because it interacts well with the Shaddoll monsters that have their own flip effects. Of course, I use Shaddolls as well. Because they're just a nice fusion engine that also have flip effects. And then the fairy part comes from the fact that I play Manju to 10,000 hands and also Spirit of the Fall Winds, which are both fairies. So it all just combined perfectly into what I like to coin as Fairy Princess Dolls. As I said, manliest name ever. Before I get into the deck profile, big shout out to Robbie Riley. He actually gave me a pretty good deal on the cards I needed to finish up this deck. So big shout and thank you to him. Do keep in mind this is a very prototype build. It hasn't really had a lot of testing to it, so there's a lot of things I'll probably be changing here and there as I get more testing in with it, but this is kind of a prototype build, and I will try to go through some different cards that you can consider for this deck if you want to change up the build a bit from what I'm showing you today. So starting off, of course, with the main boss monster of the deck, we have the free Prediction Princess Terra Tray. So you of course need Prediction Ritual to be able to summon this, and you need to tribute monsters from your hand or field with levels of 9 or more, just like any standard ritual play. So it has two different effects. First off, once per turn during your player's turn, you can target one monster on the field, it can even target itself, to flip down the face down defense position. So it's just a walking Book of Moon. And then during the end phase, you can special summon a flip effect monster from your graveyard. So you have Pot of Taboos, and you also have your Shaddoll monsters you can just bring back at each end phase with this card, which is really powerful. So it just interacts very well with Pot of Taboos, interacts very well with the Shaddoll monsters, and this is basically the main strategy of the deck, to be able to summon this to just keep plussing off your own flip effects. Next, since we're playing a ritual deck, we're of course playing a free Manju to be able to search out our Terra Tray or our Prediction Ritual. Next, we have the free Spirit of the Fall Wind. This is a really nice card that we got in Shining Victories. When it's normal summon, you can add any flip monster from your deck to your hand. So this lets us add the next card, which is the free Pot of Taboos, or it can even let us add our Shaddoll monsters as well, since they do have flip effects. Now, Pot of Taboos, there's a couple reasons why this card is really good in this version of the deck. Number one, it is level 9, so it's just a one monster tribute cost for your Terra Tray. And then during the end phase with Terra Tray, you can just bring this back to the field face down defense position. Number two, this card has 4 different effects that are either banned today or were previously banned. So you can activate one of these effects when flipped face up. Number 1 is draw 2 cards, which is of course Pot of Greed. 2 is return all spell and trap cards on the field to the hand, Giant Trunade. Number 3 is destroy all monsters your opponent controls, Raigeki, which was banned for a long time, still is banned in the OCG. And then finally, look at your opponent's hand, also shuffle 1 card from their hand into the deck, which is Forceful Sentry, which is still banned. So Pot of Forbidden, Pot of Taboos, whatever you want to call it, just a really awesome card for this deck. A lot of people will play 2 because it's not that great of a draw, but I think in this version you really need to see it, either by Fall Wind or just by drawing it, so that's why I personally play 3. Next for the Shaddoll engine, starting off we have the 2 Beasts, just always been a really good draw card for any kind of Shaddoll deck, so that's why we're playing the 2 Beasts. 3 in my opinion is too much, especially since we're kind of using Shaddolls as a sub-engine, it's not really the main focus of the deck. Next we have the 2 Hedgehog, the Searcher of the deck. If it's flipped up, we add a Shaddoll Spell or Trap card from our deck to our hand, which is going to be one of our Shaddoll Fusions, or El Shaddoll Fusion, and also if it's sent to graveyard we get to add a Shaddoll monster. You guys should pretty much know by now how Shaddolls work. Next we have the 2 Squamata, of course our Foolish Burial for Shaddolls, just gets us more advantage. Then for 1 of Shaddolls we have the 1 Dragon for popping back row, and then finally the 1 Falco. Obviously if this deck were more focused on Shaddolls, I'd probably be running more Falco, but since I wanted to kind of reduce the engine of Shaddolls, keep it as low as possible for consistency issues, that's why I did cut it down to 1. Plus there's another tune you'll see here in a second that I think is just as, if not more useful than Falco, honestly. That's it for the Shaddolls. Now for 1 of monsters. Starting off, we have the 1 BLS. Obviously, we have Terra Tray, Manju, and a couple extra deck monsters that are light. and then all of our Shaddolls are dark. So we do have the ability to drop BLS just to be, a luck sack and be able to win the game just because it's BLS. Next to the one Mathematician. It's unfortunate this card's only at 1. Still a really good card though, especially if you don't have Spirit of the Fall Winds or Manju to normal summon. Just being able to dump one of your Shaddolls, be able to dump, say, a pot of Taboos to bring back off a Terra Tray. Just a lot of good things you can do with Mathematician. Then another card you can actually dump off a Mathematician is the one Glow-Bulb. So this is our other tuner. What's really neat with this card, if you dump it off a Mathematician, is you instantly have a play for Herald of the Arclight. And Herald of the Arclight is just a phenomenal Syncro monster that just can basically negate anything and also can shut down your opponent's graveyard. So that's one reason why I played a Glow-Bulb. Also, Glow-Bulb just gives you access to a lot of interesting Syncro monsters, Trishula being one of them. So that's why I do play it. Also, it is an Earth for Shekanaga as well. Then for the final main deck monster, we have the 2 Max C, because of course, for whatever reason, Konami decided to semi-limit it to 2. This deck doesn't really have a lot of draw power, and it can be slow at times, so we really do need the Max C just for some added speed and draw power. So that's it for monsters. Starting off with the most broken card in the deck, we have the Pre-Preparation of Rites. Pre-Preparation of Rites. This lets you add the Ritual spell and the Ritual monster straight from your deck to your hand. Just really busted in this deck since you can actually use it. Keep in mind with Preprep that you can only use it if the Ritual spell itself specifically lists a certain monster on the name. So that's why decks like Nekroz and Gishkis can't use this card, but luckily this deck can, so that's why we play free. Next to the free prediction ritual, obviously our ritual spell to be able to summon Terra Tray also has a decent effect in graveyard to where the turn after it goes to the graveyard, on your turn you can banish it to add a prediction princess monster from your deck to your hand, which for us will just be a Terra Tray. I don't play any other prediction princesses, not even the coin one, just because I personally find it too slow, and this deck is more focused on getting the Terra Tray and Taboos play, and trying to be a bit faster of a deck. So that's why I don't play that. Next, for the Shaddol Fusion cards, we have only the 2 Shaddol Fusion and the 1 El Shaddol Fusion. Normally, if you're using Shaddolls as any subtype for any deck, you'd be playing the free Shaddol and the 1 El Shaddol. But since my ratio in Shaddolls is so low, and this deck is so tight on space, that's partly why I decided to cut it down to 2. Plus, I really don't think you'll get the effect to dump Shaddolls from deck to Fusion summon that often, but it's still nice if you are able to get it, but I just personally didn't want to clog with too many of the fusions, since it's not the main focus of the deck. So that's why I decided to do the 2-1 ratio there. Next, we have the 2 instant fusion. Obviously, Norden and any variant that plays Shaddolls is really good. Can help you go into some of your Syncro and Xyz plays. Also, if you need to, you can summon out Winda as well, which can be a decent play. Next are the 2 Twin Twister to help us get through some back row. Then for one of the spells, we have the 1 Foolish Burial for dumping what we need in the graveyard. And then finally the 1 Upstart Goblin for some added draw power. So that's it for the main deck. Total of 40 cards. It is 25 monsters and 15 spells. I'll go ahead and move into the side deck, and with that I'll kind of talk about some different things you can adjust with the main deck if you want to take the build into a different direction than what I'm showing you today. So starting off, we have the 2 Effect Veiler. Obviously good for the fact you can draw off a Max C, just standard effect negation. Good against a lot of decks right now, so 2 Effect Veiler. Next to the 2 Flying C, obviously good against any kind of BA variant. I think it'll be good as well against ABC since they're very reliant on Xyz summoning, so that's why I did a 2 Flying C. Speaking of ABCs, we had a 2 System Down, good against them, good against Cosmos. Then for one of us, we have the 1 Book of Moon. This is a card that I really had a tough time not playing in the main deck because it interacts so well with Terra Tray on board, but I just really couldn't find the room, and the card on its own still isn't that great right now, so I just couldn't really justify it over some other cards. But I have it in the side in case it's good against a certain rogue matchup, and it is a card, as I said, you can definitely consider in the main deck because it interacts so well with Taboos and Terra Tray. Then we have the 1 Raigeki if we need a board wipe card, and then the 3rd Twin Twister against those backer heavy matchups. Then for traps, starting off at a 2 Chaos Trap Hole, obviously good to side in against any light or dark based deck. The 2 Solemn Strike and the 1 Solemn Warning if we need some more effect and summon negation. Then for the final card, we have the one Vandy's Emptiness. If you do go more towards, I guess, I don't want to say stun, but if you do want to play some traps in the deck, what I would recommend would be to play the 2 Strike, 1 Warning, 1 Emptiness, and then the 2 Call of the Haunted. Reason for Call is because it interacts so well with Terra Tray, Taboos. You can also use it to bring back Herald of the Arclight as well. So I played those 6 traps, and I'd consider taking out, let's see what I consider taking out here. Probably the 2 Max C, which would go to the side, Glow Bulb, probably Mathematician, BLS, and then the last card would probably be one of your 3 Taboos. So taking out those 6 cards with those 6 traps would be an option you have if you want to play a slightly more stun-oriented build, but again, that's up to personal preference. I like the idea of having a build that's as aggressive and consistent as possible game 1, and then for games 2 and 3 we have some traps that can help stun our opponent a little bit. So now to wrap it up with the extra deck. So starting off with the Shaddoll Fusion monsters, we have the 2 Shekin Naga. What's nice about this is it is level 10, so if you do need a tribute on board for your Terra Tray, this is a monster you can use as your full tribute. Also, Shekin Naga just in general is a really good monster. Next we have the 1 Winda, and then finally the 1 Windigo. If you're wondering why Windigo is in here, it's because the Spirit of the Fall Wind is a wind attribute, so this is an option to make with the Fall Wind and another Shaddoll monster. Similar to Winda, just another monster that can potentially stay on board and kind of stun your opponent a little bit, since there are some decks that do have problems getting over this. Then for the final fusion, we have the 1 Norden to go along with our 2 instant fusion. Next for Synchros. Starting off, we have the 1 Herald of the Arclight. As I said, really good to summon off of the Mathematician Glow Ball play. Next, we have the 1 Goyo Guardian as a 6. Definitely will be replaced with something like Stardust Charge Warrior if I did own one, but just kind of in its place for now is Goyo Guardian. Next, I did 1 Odd Eyes Meteor Burst Dragon for a 7. There's other options you can consider for a 7, like Black Rose Dragon and Clear Wing Synchro Dragon, but I personally decided to choose Meteor Burst because of how good a matchup it has against Cosmos and Burning Abyss, and how it can help you get just some guaranteed damage and safe plays during the battle phase. Next, I did 1 Trishula. A lot of different combinations that can lead to this. If you're playing any kind of Synchro deck that can play this, you really just need to play this because it's a really good card. Next we have the 1 Leo. You have some different combinations that you can use for this. The main one is Glow Bulb plus a Terra Tray or a Pot of Taboos. So yeah, Leo's just a nice monster you can go into. Can't be targeted by anything except during your main phase 2. Then for the final Synchro with the 1 Star Eater, the one combo you have to go in this that doesn't require 3 or more materials would be Falco plus either Terra Tray or Taboos. That's it for the Synchros. For our rank 4 XYZs, we have the 1 Abyss Dweller, just generically really good for locking down the graveyard. The 1 Castel for spinning cards away. And then finally the combo of Utopia and Utopia to Lightning. The one thing that I'm for sure missing from here that I'd like to add is the rank 9, I believe it's called Sky Palace or something like that. It just requires 2 level 9 monsters, which Taboos and Terra Tray are level 9. And then it has 4 different effects. It's kind of like a rank 9 version of Evil Swarm or Boros. If you do have that, I'd highly recommend playing it. As far as what to take out from here, maybe taking out like a Goyo Guardian or Windigo or something like that. Because it is definitely worth playing, because there's a lot of situations where it can come up. So that's it for this brand new deck profile for my manly deck known as Fairy Princess Dolls. I do hope you guys enjoyed it. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next time.